In times like these, everyone lacks hope, purpose, and salvation. As a result, humanity is subject to its sinful nature, chasing depravity and abolishing all sense of decency, believing that this might fill the emptiness they have in their lives. Whether it may be adultery, seeking fame on social media, or striving for riches. All these bring no fulfillment and leave one with a bitter aftertaste. However, every human has hope, purpose, and a salvation, and that in only Jesus Christ. He sacrificed himself for our sins so that we may have the salvation which is eternal life in heaven. But not only this. In him you will find hope for the future. Because we Christians know that all things work together for good to them that love God. If you accept these facts, you are equipped to lead a purposeful lifestyle in Christ. May Jesus Christ bless you in your walk.
We were talking about the 7 heads, the beast that came out of the sea where John the Beloved saw. And that beast had 7 heads, 10 horns, and there was 10 crowns on those 10 horns. And then we spoke about the 6 heads. And we said the 6 heads are empires. We went through a lot of biblical referencing. I don't want to repeat what we said. It is all recorded. You can go back and listen to it. And we said that the 7 heads are empires, beginning with the Egyptian empire, followed by the Assyrian empire, then the Medo-Persian empire, and then the Babylonian empire, then the Greek empire, and the Roman Empire. And we said that the Roman Empire, according to Daniel, was the terrible beast of all other empires. They ruled the longest and the strongest. And they were extremely harsh. They were Diocletians, Neron. They were really assassins and they killed millions and millions of people and shed blood. So today we will be revealing the 7th head. Which one is the 7th head or the 7th empire? So 6, John the Beloved was saying, and Revelation 17, 5 have fallen. He was talking about the time when he was writing the book of Revelation around 100 AD. In Patmos, a little island in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea in current Greece. So while he was writing, he said 5 have fallen. The 5 that were fallen before John the Beloved were the Egyptian, the Assyrian, the Medo-Persians, the Babylonians, and the Greeks. They were already fallen, but he said one is, at the time when John was writing his book of Revelation, definitely was the Roman Empire. So the 6th one is Roman. He said, but the 7th one hasn't come yet. When it comes, it will rule for a little while, then it will be slain. So today we'll be talking about the one that was going to come in the future in accordance with John the Beloved prophecy and revelation. So now we'll go, I hope this works. So I'm going to skip all these chapter 13 because we read it last week. So this is chapter 13 verses 1 to 18. We are still there. We need to skip that. We're going to come to the 2nd beast. So the 1st beast, John the Beloved saw coming out of the sea. The 2nd beast, he saw it coming out of the earth, the land. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. Revelation 13:11. So we'll be talking about the 2nd beast. It'll be very interesting. I hope we finish our topic. There's a lot of information. I'll be going like a Formula 1 car. 2nd beast. Who is the 2nd beast? He is the false prophet. He's called also the false prophet. That is the 2nd beast that came out of the earth like a lamb, 2 horns like a lamb, but speaking like a dragon. We'll be talking about 4 points in relation to the false beast, or the false prophet, or the beast that came out of the earth. Number one, the purpose of the false prophet. Number two, the timing of the false prophet. Number three, the powers of the false prophet. These three we will address today. The fourth one, next week. Identity of the false prophet. So identity will be left for next week, God willing. So keep on coming. I may push it a little bit further. I want to keep you as long as I can. If you don't come after this topic, I will come after you. My name is Ahmed. Allahu Akbar. All right, so the purpose of the false prophet, the timing of the false prophet, the powers of the false prophet, today will be addressed, and next week, God willing, the identity of the false prophet. Let's go and look at number one, purpose of the false prophet. He exercises all the authority of the first beast. Who is the first beast? The one that came out of the sea with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns. This false prophet exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Revelation 13:12. This is the purpose of the false prophet. What is it? He exercises all the authority of the first one that came out of the sea and causes the earth, meaning humanity, the earth meaning human, not just Christians, every single human being. That's the earth. And he causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, the one with the 7 heads and 10 horns, whose deadly wound was healed. Let's go to the second point. Timing of the false prophet. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world marveled and followed the beast. Revelation 13:13. When is this false prophet appearing? The timing of the appearance of this false prophet. The timing of it is, and I saw one of his heads, one of the 7 heads, one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world marveled and followed the beast. Revelation 13:3. Do you want to know who the 7th head is? The 7th empire? Are you ready? The 7th empire is the British Empire. You want a cup of A? Get my meaning, you know what I mean. The British Empire is the 7th head. You see, John the Beloved said, 5 have fallen, one is the Roman Empire. The 7th one is coming later on. At the time, there was no Roman Empire because John was already gone to heaven. So when he prophesied about the 7th one, he said, the 7th one is going to come, he will rule for a short time, and then he will be wounded. Out of the wound, so between the fall, the wounding, and the rising, the false prophet appears. The timing of it is between the wounding and the rising. Because out of the 7th, the 8th one comes. But this 8th one is also of the 7. Now that is the identity of the 8th one. That's next week, okay? So the 7th head is the British Empire. We'll take you through a bit of a history here. Maybe to some of us, it's news, like first time ever. Because these things, they don't teach you definitely at high school or university levels. I can assure you, they will never put this in no curriculums whatsoever. Great Britain established the Bank of England in the 16th century, and they called it the fractional reserve banking. And until this very day, every Federal Reserve Bank of the world follows this system of Great Britain since the 16th century. Every Federal Reserve Bank is a fractional reserve banking system. What is fractional? As the word says, it's a fraction. It's built on a lie. That's what it is. The banks are built on a lie. So you go and invest your money in the bank. You put $5,000 in the bank, and then someone else comes and he says to the bank, I want to borrow 100,000. The bank has 5,000. They will lend you 100 based on nothing. In the good olden days, whatever they would lend, they would back it off with gold, goldsmith. But they realized this is not practical. Gold is not the way to go. We can't do that. So what do? Just print. No backup. So they'll charge you 5% on the 100,000, but they don't have it. So they picked out of 30s or whatever. They made it $1 million out of you, and they made money from nothing. Who came up with this idea? British people. Very smart, but for the wrong reasons. Not the good. We'll see what they've done. Now, when I say British, please don't get me wrong. I know there are some wonderful people watching from England and from Great Britain. But I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about governmental system. Governmental system. It's very evil. Has anyone heard of Waterloo Battle? Napoleon. Waterloo Battle in 1815, the Battle of Waterloo between Britain and France was to determine who would rule the mainland of Europe. During this time, there were some bankers called the Rothschild. Wow. Yes. This battle was to determine who was going to rule Europe in general, between England and France. Let's look at Rothschild for a little while here and see who they are. Roth is an old spelling of red, and Schild is shield. They lived in Frankfurt, Germany, in Judengasse. Judengasse, literally the Jews' lane, the Jewish ghetto. They started in a very poor area in Germany. They were extremely poor. But Mayer Amschel Rothschild established international banking family through his 5 sons, who established businesses in London, Paris, Frankfurt, Vienna, and Naples. Vienna and Naples, Italy. Is anybody home? Okay. So they established in 5 countries: London, Paris, Frankfurt, Vienna, and Naples. Mayer Amschel Rothschild's sons are Amschel, he was placed in Frankfurt; Solomon in Vienna; Nathan in London; Carl in Naples; and James in Paris. So this dad, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, was a brilliant-minded guy who came up with an international banking family, and he used his 5 sons and he spread them all over Europe to control money. Bank of England. Nathan May Rothschild purchased bonds at a very low rate due to spreading rumors of British Empire's defeat. Let me elaborate on this. What happened? The Waterloo battle took place between Britain and France. Now Nathan, one of the sons, was based in London. James, on the other hand, was based in Paris. So what happened? They communicated with one another. So the Bank of England, that was established in the 16th century, started funding the war. They started lending money to the British government to continue the war and hopefully win the battle. They ran out of money. So who came to the rescue? The one and only Nathan, the son of the Mayer Amschel Rothschild. So he came and he said, look, I'm gonna fund you. I'm going to give you all the money and go for it. On the other side, who's funding France? His brother, James. In fact, James was more powerful than Nathan. So they funded them, and then the battle was being won by Britain. Nathan Rothschild received the news 24 hours before the British government got the news that they won the battle. So what Nathan did in those 24 hours, he found the window of opportunity to be multi-billionaire overnight. He went and sold his bonds that he had in that Bank of England. He sold them on the basis saying to everyone, guys, Britain lost the battle and I'm selling it before it becomes absolutely nothing. He started selling them at a very cheap rate. Everybody knew Nathan is a wizard when it comes to banking, investment and all that. They trusted his judgment. So what they did, all of them went and sold their bonds at a penny of a price. What he did, he went and bought them all. He bought them all, including the bonds of Bank of England. He bought everything. The following day, the news came, the government of Britain realized they won the battle. When they said, we've won the battle, within 24 hours, the bonds skyrocketed. He became a billionaire and owned completely Bank of England. He owned it. It was his. Smart. There's a lot of information. We move forward in history. Great Britain established something called East India Company. Now this East India Company, it was beautiful. At the beginning, nothing wrong with it. But you know what? Under the radar, they were doing wonders. East India Company, what was that? The East India Company was initially created in the 1600s to serve as a trading body for English merchants, specifically to participate in the East India spice trade. That's what it was for. But look what they did. Through East India Company, the British established a warfare to rule the world. Selling spices, trading with spices, and let me give you another spice, a bomb here, a hand grenade here, a gun here, that's another spice. They established a warfare to rule the world. Why do you think the Federal Reserve Bank was really established and overtaken by the Rothschild? To create wars. We control the banks, we control countries, and we cause wars, we create wars, and we fund the wars. And now the country owns us. The country now owes us money. They will pay that money with interest for the rest of their life. So in the meanwhile, we can do whatever in that country. They can't say no because we gave them the money to win the battle. So when the person in charge, with all love and respect, right, that came out, I don't know, a week or two ago, being under investigation, the Federal Reserve Bank in Australia, when they were questioning him by that whatever team, I'm so sorry to say this, but it's a joke. He knows very well the Federal Reserve Bank is a Freemason owned. And they tell him what to do. He doesn't have to raise interest rates at all. He didn't have to print cash during lockdowns. But we got the information from the health experts. Who? The Hazard? And they gave us the wrong information. So anyway, they established and controlled the Federal Reserve banks to create wars. World War I, World War II, deliberately created. Deliberate. To control humanity. Man, I don't have the time. Look what Great Britain did. In the 1850s, the British Empire ruled China. Wow. Ruled China. That's why until recent times Hong Kong was a colony. It belonged to the Great British. The Chinese of Hong Kong are British. They live like British, they talk like British, and they drive like British. And extremely rich people. But the Chinese government forced them to belong to China. Now they said no more a country within a country. Hong Kong belongs to China. No longer you are British, you're Chinese. And they go out in the streets on riots, and they brought the army, killed so many of them, and they brought then the so-called Corona, done a lockdown and put everybody at home, and now Hong Kong is going back to China. But who ruled? Great Britain, my beloveds. Great Britain, look what they did. Look what they did to the Chinese, my goodness. Chinese tried to overthrow the British colonization. However, they retaliated with the Great Opium War. They called it the Great Opium War, heroin. Who brought heroin into China? Great Britain. Why? To make everyone high and forget about everything else. When you're on high, mate, what are you going to do? You're going to go and retaliate? You're going to fight? No, you're finished. You're going to love the British for giving you the good old stuff. They called it the Great Opium War. Governments have a hand in a lot of drugs that come into the countries. Yeah. Every now and then they show you, we caught the syndicate. Mate, through the back doors it was released. Corruption is everywhere, unfortunately. It's very sad, very sad. So the Great Britain, to overcome the Chinese uprising, they flooded the country with heroin. And they called it the Great Opium War. British Empire killed millions of Indian people and also traded them to the United States as slaves. They've done the same thing in India. India is one of the Commonwealth countries, like Australia is. The banks of the United States were actually funded by slavery money, piracy money, and drug money. Not long ago, major banks in Australia were under the microscope. They were fined, I don't know how many millions, for money laundering. Commonwealth, I don't know, Westpac, the major ones. And they were fined. But do you think they can stop them? No, the banks will tell the government what to do. Because they have big boys behind them. And I'm saying some big stuff here today. I'll be Australia's most wanted after this one. Do you think they care? They don't. World War I began on the 28th of July, 1914. Britain was in trouble. The United States came and bailed them out. World War I ended on the 11th of the 11th, 1918. World War II started on 1st of September 1939 and ended on the 2nd of September 1945, where the instrument of surrender was signed on the USS Missouri battleship, and with it came the end of the British Empire. The end of World War II was the end of the great British Empire, the seventh head of the beast, which John the Beloved saw coming out of the sea. That was the end of the British Empire. Or was it? Well, let's see. Great Britain, we can say for certainty, Great Britain ruled the world from 1815, the Battle of Waterloo, where they overcame the French. They ruled the world from 1815 till the end of World War II, which ended in 1945. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded. One of the heads mortally wounded, the fall of the British Empire at the end of World War II in 1945. The British Empire, being the seventh head, was wounded, it fell. Look at John the Beloved, how he's talking in a prophetic way. And his deadly wound was healed. So he was wounded, but that wound was healed later on. Wow. Between the wound and the healing, the false prophet appears. The timing of the false prophet. The one who came out of the earth, the land, dressed up like a lamb, 2 horns, speaking like a dragon. Who is the dragon? Satan. Satan, my beloved. This was the timing of the false prophet appearing. Between the wounding and the healing, between the fall and the rise, the false prophet comes on board. We can say now that the false prophet has been with us since 1945. Now, we said earlier, what is he doing? What is the purpose of the false prophet? He exercises all the authority of the first beast. And then he makes every human being to worship the first beast. That's his purpose. That's what he's coming for. He's coming to exercise all the authority of the first beast, the one with the 7 heads and 10 horns. And he will try to make every human being to worship the first beast. And have you fastened your seatbelts yet? Purpose of the false prophet, we discussed. Timing of the false prophet, we said it was at the wounding of the head and the healing of it. At the fall of the great British Empire and the uprising of the 8th head, who is also of the 7th. That's when the false prophet appears. Now let's come to the powers. The purpose, the timing, the third point, the powers of the false prophet. Maybe it's a bit hot here. Is it a bit warm in here? I know I'm hot. It's always my presence. But if we can just cool the temperature a bit. Now let's come to the powers of the false prophet. What does he do? He performs great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Revelation 13:13. He brings fire from heaven in the sight of men. That is, what is that? That is his powers. He brings fire from heaven. He has 3 powers. 1, he brings fire from heaven. Let's go to number 2. Number 2, he was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, the first one, the one with the 7 heads and the 10 horns. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Revelation 13:15. And the third power, he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand, on their forehead. Revelation 13:16. What is this mark? No one may buy or sell except one who has the mark. The mark is a number of a man. His number is 666. There it is. Now, who leads people into the first beast system? Because you see, the second beast is trying to lead everyone to the first beast system. The false prophet, the ram with two horns, speaks like dragon, not the Antichrist. So the false prophet is not the Antichrist. You see, some people think that it is the Antichrist who is that lamb that came. That lamb is the false prophet. The false prophet is not the Antichrist. And we're going to see why it is not. We go back to Daniel 7:8. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 8. What is he saying? I was considering the horns. You see, Daniel, instead of seeing one beast like John the Beloved, he saw four beasts. But he said, the last one, the fourth one, had 10 horns, exactly like what John the Beloved saw, that first beast coming out of the sea with 10 horns. So the last beast in Daniel 7 has 10 horns, exactly like the first beast in Revelation 13:1. So Daniel the prophet, he said, I was considering the horns, the 10 horns, and there was another horn, it's an 11th, a little one coming up among them, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. So he said, while I was contemplating on those 10 horns, who they may be, I saw a little one, an 11th one, coming out in the midst of them. As he was coming out, he plucked 3 out of the 10. So how many are left? 7. And with this little one, 8. Now, John the Beloved is saying the 8th is of the 7. So how many horns left at the end? 8. But the 8th one is of the 7. Now that little horn which Daniel saw is the Antichrist. In a way, Daniel was looking in a panoramic way. He looked from a distance, from afar, and he saw in the end of times, the 21st century, by the way, we're lucky, we're very blessed. The 21st century, he saw the Antichrist appearing in our time and age. John the Beloved didn't see the Antichrist, he saw the 10 horns. But what did John the Beloved see? The false prophet, the other beast that came out of the earth. In other words, John the Beloved saw the governmental system which Satan has been implementing for over 5,000 years, and Daniel the prophet saw the Antichrist, the one who's going to sit and run this system, which I don't want to say yet. Now, the false prophet versus Antichrist. Revelation 13:1, the beast has 10 horns. In Daniel 7:8, the beast has 10 horns and a little one coming up among them. 3 from the 10 being destroyed. Little horn, the 11th, is the Antichrist, the one who's going to run this system in the 21st century and rule the world. In Revelation 17, it says the following. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen. Who are the 5? Egyptian Empire, Assyrian, Babylonian, Medo-Persian, the Greeks. These are the 5. And then he says, one is. Who is that? The Roman Empire. And the other has not yet come. The other that was not there at the time of John the Beloved, that 7th head is, or was, the British Empire, which ruled the world from 1815 till the end of World War II in 1945. The head was wounded. British Empire fell. It was wounded. But it was healed afterwards. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. So British Empire ruled for 130 years, more or less. It's a short time compared to God's timing. God works with infinity. So you put any number with infinity, it's nothing. So 130 years, it's a very short time for God. So it ruled for 130 years. The beast that was, look at verse 11. The beast that was and is not, is himself also the eighth, and is of the seven, and is going to perdition. So, British Empire, the seventh head, ended in 1945. The head is wounded. But the head that was wounded got healed. Now, between the wounding and the healing, the false prophet appears, the one that came out of the earth, like a lamb with two horns, but speaking like a dragon. That eighth one that came is also of the seven heads. What are the seven heads? Empires. What are empires? Gentile empires without the rule of God. Gentile empires without the rule of God. Every empire that came, ruled the world, Satan was behind it. We said last time, Satan came, he failed to establish his government in heaven, so he came to try and establish it on earth, and through that governmental system, his aim was to bring every human race under the submissiveness of that system and take you all to hell with him as a revenge against Jesus Christ. What is happening in the world, with all love and respect, I'm saying this, whether you want to believe me or not, it's up to you. Everything that is happening in the world is because of Jesus. If Jesus was not there, I can assure you, all of you would have been living nicely and quietly. The moment you invoke the name Jesus, all hell breaks loose. That, I don't know what shall I refer to that. Why, out of all the religious figures, you attack Jesus? No, you think about it. Man, I don't have the time, but I'm gonna answer them. No, I will answer them. Now please pay attention. There are three things needed to rule the world. If you can have these three things, you'll control the world. Number one, military, weaponry power. Number two, communication system to connect the world, technology in other words. And number three, powerful banking system. If you have military power, if you have communication power, and if you have banking system power, you will run the world. Now, powers of the false prophet. Number one, he makes fire come down from heaven. Makes fire come down from heaven. Military power. It's a system. It's not a person. It's a system, my beloved. Military power. They can send this rocket across the continents. And when that rocket comes down, what is the rocket bringing down from heaven? Fire, nuclear warheads. This is talking about World War III, which will take place, unfortunately, in the 21st century. It's talking about nuclear war. That is fire from heaven. Some people thought it is the Antichrist. He's going to come and bring fire as a miracle. No, Habibi. No, my darling. This is talking about a system placed by Satan to destroy humanity. Military power, nuclear warheads, that is fire from heaven. The second one, he gives breath to the image of the beast. The first one, technology, social media. And worshippers of this image are the ones whose names are not written in the book of life. Revelation 17:8. So those who are going to worship this image, their names are not written in the book of life, meaning they are the people of the world. Those who have denied Jesus Christ, those who have never accepted Jesus Christ, those who have denied the existence of God, they will worship the image of the first beast, which the second beast made through them. The image is technology, social media. TV replaced radio as the dominant broadcast and home entertainment medium by the 1950s. There's a word, pneuma. Pneuma is a Greek word for breath in religious context, for spirit or soul. So what did this second beast do? He caused all people to make an image of the first beast, and then he breathed into this image. The false prophet is doing this. He breathed. This breath, it's called pneuma. Pneuma is a human spirit, not an animal kind of a spirit. No, it's a human. Because the word zo also derives from Greek word zoon, which means animal, beast, form, or image. That's where we get zoo from. Zoology, animation. It's not a zoo, it's a pneuma. Pneuma is a spirit of a human being, not an animal. Animation. So it's not animated, it's an actual human being. So the false prophet he forces people to make an image of the first beast. And he breathes into that image becomes alive. Now, who gave him that authority? The first beast. Who is the first beast? The 7 heads. Who are the 7 heads? Empires. What are empires? Governmental system. Who is behind all of them? The red dragon in Revelation 12. Who is the red dragon? Satan. Satan. Technology of today, the force behind it is Satan. That's why it has destroyed the human race, destroyed families, destroyed marriages, destroyed human quality. Satan. Satan. Satan, my beloved. So who's the 7th head? Great Britain. When did it fall? In 1945. The end of World War II was the end of Great Britain. It was wounded, but it was healed. Now we're going to find out next week what happened when that wound got healed. So the 8th head comes, but that 8th head is also of the 7. So it's not really the 8th, but it is the 8th, but it's really from the 7. And you will see it clear as the daylight of what has been happening all these years, yet we were asleep.
fast, midnight shadows casting past, music pumping through my veins, echoes hum in electric planes. Push start speed, moving slow, electronic soon and flow. Piano keys light the path, bass thumping, clear aftermath. Midnight pulse, beats so strong, sits in sax all night long. Feel the rhythm in your soul, let the funk take control. Clear vocals pierce the air, melodic waves everywhere. Synth and bass start to blend, dancing beats never end. Electric dreams within reach, sax and synths do beseech. Thumping bass in the night, feel the groove take flight. Midnight pulse beats so strong, sits in sax all night long. Feel the rhythm in your soul, let the funk take control. Electric dreams within reach, sax and synths to beseech. Pumping bass in the night, feel the groove take flight. Midnight pulse beats so strong, sits in sax all night long. Feel the rhythm in your soul, let the funk take control. Neon sunrise paints the sky, one last dance before we say goodbye. Electricity fades away, but the memory will always stay.